Been getting water in my lower unit for about 3 months. The lower water pump base seal had a tear in it, so figured that was my problem. Replaced it new, and the upper water pump will all new. Put new oil in it, run it for about 6 hours of fishing, drain the oil when I got home, had a gray greenish look to it. I don't know any ideals. Got a bunch going on here, Slave. We just did a video about this a few weeks ago by the time this podcast comes out, and talking about all the different places that a lower unit can take in water. Now, if you've got greenish, grayish water, so gray is not good. Gray is metal. That means that you are grinding something, and if you've got gray, that's a problem. Now, as far as greenish, I'm guessing you put Merc gear lube in there, and that's why it's a greenish color. If not, then, that's a whole nother topic right there, being the color of the gear lube. But for one, you do have a leak somewhere. And for two, you possibly have some metal on metal with the gray. The thing that you need to do is pressure test it, because there's a whole bunch of different, there's 7 different ways that you can take on water to the lower unit. You've got your shift shaft seal, you've got your drive shaft seal, you've got your prop shaft seals, you've got drain plug, the vent plug, the O-ring on the bearing carrier for the prop shaft bearing carrier, and then the O-ring on the drive shaft bearing carrier. So you really need to pressure test it. Just finding a cut on the water pump base gasket is not really... The water pump base gasket is more for your water pressure and the amount of water that's going up to the engine. If you've got tears in the water pump housing O-ring or the water pump base gasket, these are things that make sure that the water in your water pump is being forced up and not able to leak out, back down into the water, into the lower unit, anywhere else. It does not really have anything to do with water getting inside of the gear case. So you're going to need to drain the lower unit and then put your drain plug in and put a pressure tester on there, pump it up to 10, 12 PSI, and then take a water bottle, or a squirt bottle of degreaser, soapy water, anything like that, spray it around, again, shift shaft, drive shaft, prop shaft, and turn the shafts as you are spraying them with that pressure in the gear case, and you should start to see air bubbles coming out from one of those locations. If you do not see any air bubbles, then most likely the O-ring down around the prop shaft bearing carrier is what's leaking, but you're going to have to pressure test it. There's no way to get around it. You've got to do a pressure test in order to figure out where that gear lube is getting out and water is getting in. Hope that helps. Pressure tester, any kind of a pump that's going to create pressure, you only need 10 PSI, 12 PSI. So I would suggest getting one from Amazon or from Harbor Freight, somewhere cheap. If you need to pressure test a gear case a lot, I would go with the Stevens, but the Stevens are $180. Now, if you enjoyed this clip, you can watch the full episode over here, or you can watch another one over here.